ECM moderators, mic check, please. Charlie Ajolayemi, mic check. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Jolayemi.
Okay. Good evening, Jolayemi. Charlie, are you on?
Yes, good evening, Ma.
Okay. All right then. All good. All right. Good luck.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to class. This is 5 o'clock, and I can see here that the attendance is really, really poor. So please, party chair persons, inform your members to join into class because class is starting and our facilitator, the ED, is already in class. So please inform your party members to join into class. So um, I'll be giving 5 minutes for us to join and prompt your members to also join into class, and then we'll start immediately, 5:05. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 5:05 and classes will start right away. So today we have our ED, Mr. Kolilawal, who will be facilitating the class on the legislative. I would prompt you guys pay rapt attention to this class because it's a very, very important video. It's informative and you will learn so much from the class. So very quickly, I'll introduce our facilitator, that is our ED, Mr. Kolilawal. So Kolilawal is a prominent Nigerian political figure, an executive director of Electoral College Nigeria, where he leads the charge for political literacy and civic engagement and democratic accountability. Under his leadership, the Electoral College has grown into a nationally respected platform, educating thousands of Nigerians on governance, elections, and citizen responsibility, while strengthening democracy from the grassroots up. A tireless advocate for informed democracy, Kule's work at the Electoral College Nigeria includes designing over 27 comprehensive political education models, pioneering candidate debates to curb all jurisdiction promises, and training over 14,000 citizens across Nigeria. His efforts are redefining how young Nigerians understand and participate in politics. He was formerly the National Publicity Secretary of COA Party, where he championed intra-party democracy and innovative membership systems. As a senatorial candidate with the Alliance for New Nigeria between 2017 and 2019, Kule developed 49 draft bills, showcasing a bold vision for legislative reform. He is the author of 2 political books, The Candidate and the Political Cookbook, a reflective guide for aspiring leaders, and formerly led Word Chat Nigeria, using technology to connect citizens with political processes. Kolilawal's work continues to inspire a new generation of informed, active citizens, positioning him as one of the leading voices for democratic renewal in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to have our ED, Mr. Kolilawal, again in class today. Welcome, ED.
So good day, everyone. How's it been? First and foremost, I'd like to make clear that attendance is really... So this is what we're going to do today. First and foremost, I don't know whether you've been told this, but the transitional chairman, party chairman, because you appoint your ex-school next week, your official ex-school next week, are responsible for class attendance. So if your chairman should encourage attendance, I think you should write on your party groups. So what is going to happen today? And Charlie, are you there?
Yes, ED.
Okay. So everybody that is in class, give them 1 class attendance extra. At this point, too, at exactly 17:08, nobody enters. Don't look at 17:09. And for everyone that is not in class today, let me know the political party with the least attendance by the end of the day. Whichever political party has the least attendance at the end of the day, I will minus 2 points from. So if it's NDC, it means you drop to 0. I'm just telling you guys.
Okay.
So thank you very much. So if class is poor today, it will be up to you guys. I will tell you something. Also, this will be like last week, we're going to try to encourage attendance. Please don't come to class. I will fail you at the end of the course. Simple. I won't beg you. I've always told everyone that regardless of how much the college spends to put this together, I'd rather graduate 2 people that are worthy of being called associates or people who are politically literate, and to graduate 100 that have nothing in their heads. So let me make myself very clear. I will not hesitate to fail you. The parameters is simple. Everything is simple. The college is not funded by any NGO or any funder. So be clear. This is people who love Nigeria's money you are extending. And I will not take any actions here for granted. So let it be very clear that I will not hesitate, or the college will not hesitate to fill. Won't say I, but the college will not hesitate. That said, today's conversation is legislative. Now, a lot of people like to talk about the legislative in different ways. We have different views of what legislative is. Sometimes in Nigeria, some people get so ingenious that they refer to the legislative more of, let me see, they would say the parliament. If you check a parliamentary system of government, it's the only time the legislative has executive powers. I will also reiterate what we have grown to get used to from our senators and our House of Rep constituency projects. I'll tell you, they are non-constitutional. They are not backed by the Constitution, not backed by any law in Nigeria. They existed when someone was interested in third term, and it's gone down the line since. Constituency projects take about close to $500 billion from our budget every year. And it's a conversation we also should always have. So the legislative, we're clear here that the legislative is something we think we understand. We even have people in our National Assembly calling themselves parliamentarians. You can't blame them. 60-something% of the 62% of the National Assembly hasn't opened your constitution. You go down to State House of Assemblies, it reaches 92% that haven't opened Nigerian constitution on any matter. I don't want to talk about councillors. I'm sure you know that that's a 99.9% position of not even opening Nigeria's constitution. But yet we expect a working country. Our reliance on the executive, our reliance on the executive functions and executive powers has always been our game. As much as we say the president is invested in power, everybody complains about the powers of the president, nobody does anything about it. State House of Assemblies, the governor is in control, the governor does this, the governor does that, nobody has. So deep down inside, I think we leave these things to chance for a singular reason, and that singular reason clearly is that we don't want to alter the powers so that when we get there, we can do exactly what we need to do, and which is be corrupt. And corruption is not only stealing money; it's also my wife is the first lady, or my son is the first son. He has more DSS than the vice president. He has more security than a lot of governors. Those are the kind of things we want to do. My friends here are the ones doing all the contracts. Talia is being dealt with. Talia has been working with Kunila and the Electoral College, so Talia deserves a piece of Nigeria's oil. Lisa has been with the Electoral College. I'll hand over lithium in Kafanchan to her. And those are the reasons we have. But today's topic is legislative. So I'm going to ask one or two people. Or let's just start with I'll ask the questions later. Let's just start. And Charlie, could I have the first slide, please? Thank you. So an introduction. So the National Assembly is Nigeria's legislative arm of government. You can rightly say that the sovereignty of the people resides in the legislature. Now you ask why. Executive do not represent, they execute. The only representative part of governance, even the judiciary, does not represent, is the legislative. Meaning, if you want a democracy to succeed, you must concentrate on the legislature. I will point out a few things. When the legislature, then democracy was first birthed in Greece. It was birthed off the legislature. Everybody attending, everybody in that particular vicinity or in that community, sitting down together, ironing out issues of community. And even if we look at Nigeria's antecedents preceding colonial rule, one of the first places in the world to have an unwritten constitution is Igbo land. It ran like the legislature. Elders came out, people of the community came out. They sat down and trashed the issues of the community. And they unanimously agreed on what to do as regards different things, whether when to start farming, when is the new yam season. And they claim one of the first places with a constitution, I think, is Monaco. In Monaco, I can't remember, somewhere in Europe. But it actually isn't. The Igbo people were one of the first people in the world to have a semblance of a constitution, unwritten guided laws which governed the society. Now, I know many people don't know this. For the Yoruba people that are hating, you can continue your beef with Igbo people as usual. Gets more interesting. But I think it's a win for Nigeria when you realize that one of the first unwritten constitutions actually came from this country. Something to be proud of. But like Nigerians that we are, we prefer to know what Pella and his girlfriend are doing. So we don't know anything about Nigeria. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So there are basic things most people don't know about the National Assembly. Such as it's made of two chambers, the Senate and the House of Rep. The House of Rep being the lower house, and it being that is the green and the red chambers. Now, the Senate has 109 elected members and 360 members are in the House. However, the National Assembly is much more than this, and this presentation will try to explain the many facets and functions of this great institution. Talia, could I have the next slide? So a brief introduction on the National Assembly in Nigeria's legislative arm of government. So one can rightfully say that the sovereignty of the people resides in the legislature. Now, there are basic things people know about the national. Okay, so, Talia, could I have the next slide? I was reading the other slide. Talia, is it that you're not listening to me?
Ready to come up with that.
You should know now, when I get to the last line, it's always best to move to the next slide. You don't have to wait for me to say next slide. So the National Assembly. The National Assembly is established under Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now it is vested with powers to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Federation. Did you hear? Peace, order, and good governance of the Federation. Now, random question. Do they make laws for the good governance of the Federation? Now, good governance will refer to checks on the legislative, on the executive, sorry. Now, you can answer in the chat box, I'll see there. Do they make laws for good governance of the Federation? Now, with respect to matters in the exclusive legislative list, this is key. Now, some of the items in this list include arms, aviation, currency, drugs and poisons, mines and minerals, passports and visas, posts, telegraphs, telephones, prisons, railway, ammunition and explosives, bankruptcy, banks, citizenship, copyright, patents and trademarks, creation of states, custom and excise duties, defense and military. Wait. You guys were always bullying the president for insecurity and our forces not doing anything. Whoa. The president is to blame, yes, he's the commander-in-chief. Cannot negate the National Assembly. And here is why. They can summon the chief of army staff, they can remove, they can replace, they can do anything. The legislative is far more powerful than you think they are. The only reason Nigerian president seems powerful is because our own legislative have mortgaged their functions. So we continue. Immigration, insurance, labor. National Assembly is also in charge of Wahala of ASU and Co as lecturers and okay. Continue. Trade or business names, powers of National Assembly. What? So you mean the National Assembly has the power to checkmate or empower itself? Something we don't even discuss. The only thing they thought of was to control their allowances, which is vested in their own control, in their finances. That's the only thing they did. Didn't even improve their powers against the president. They didn't even improve the ability to veto the president. He didn't do any of those things. Now, do you look at everybody that has been in the National Assembly different? And this is just the beginning. It's page 1. We haven't even gone anywhere. So, powers of National Assembly and the privileges and immunities of its members. Whoa, regulation of political parties. Yay. Shocking how we don't even acknowledge what we're capable of doing. So now, the hierarchy of the National Assembly. So you have the Senate President in the Senate, and then in the House, you have the Speaker. You have the number 2 man, who is the Deputy Senate President, and then you have the Deputy Speaker. You have the Majority Leader in both houses. That's the party that has the most number of people as the Majority Leader. You have the Deputy Majority Leader, who is the number 2. You have the Chief Whip. You have the Deputy Chief Whip. These other positions are common in both houses. You have the Minority Leader, Deputy Minority Leader. You have the Minority Whip and the Deputy Minority Whip. Now, the President of the Senate or the Speaker is the presiding officer or chairman of the National Assembly. Now, the Deputy Senate President carries out functions of the Senate President in his absence. Note that there are other functions conventionally carried out by the Deputy Senate President. For instance, he or she chairs the Constitution Review Mode. He or she chairs the Constitution Review. Now we go to the Majority Leader, like I explained who the Majority Leader is, so we can skip that. The Chief Whip is elected to maintain order and decorum in the House and discipline among members of the Majority Party. The Minority Leader is elected by members of the Minority Party. Now, his or her role is to represent interests, maintain discipline among their members in the National Assembly. Okay, plenary. Give me plenary. Now, plenary, National Assembly conducts most of its legislative business through daily sittings or plenary sessions and committee meetings. Now, the National Assembly plenary sessions are stipulated in Section 63 of the Constitution, which provides that the life of the National Assembly is 4 years. Now, plenary session refers to the day, period, or time in which the legislative formally assembles for the purpose of lawmaking. A session must consist of not less than 181 days while in a legislative year. Note that this is law. This is part of the Constitution. And it was broken by this 181 days was broken by the Ahmed Lawan Senate. It didn't hold sessions for up to 181 days in a legislative year. Now, sittings or meetings or hearing periods of the National Legislative Assembly within a session or legislative year. Sittings and meetings, or hearing periods of the Legislative Assembly within a session or legislative year. Now, there is no constitutional provision for daily sittings. Therefore, it is up to each house to decide what works best for it. Now, previous assemblies since 1999 have observed Tuesdays and Thursdays sitting days, that are days of plenary. Now, recess, which they seem to love a lot, refers to long breaks of the House at the end of a session. This is distinct from the usual adjournment that occurs after a plenary sitting. So adjournment could happen maybe when they are doing a constitutional review and they decide to adjourn for a while so that people review the few changes before they come back and sit down in case there's a massive disagreement about in both houses or in a single house. This could help, with things. Charlie, do I have to say this again? So powers of the legislature. Now, legislators may enjoy certain powers, privileges, and immunities. Legislative powers can be defined as constitutional powers bestowed on the legislative arm of government. Now, these powers could be expressed, implied, or assumed. Now, express powers as stated in the Constitution include the power over public funds. Wow. Meaning no money can be stolen without the National Assembly. The power to alter the Constitution. The power to ratify treaties and the power of oversight on executive. Now, note that the Constitution empowers the legislature to create rules regarding internal affairs. This is the basis of existence of the rules and standing orders that guide the chamber proceedings in the Senate and the House of Reps, respectively. Implied powers are ancillary to assist in carrying the powers stated in the Constitution. Now, legislative communities. Now, in the exercise of their functions, the National Assembly often works in smaller units known as committees. Now, a committee is a unit within the legislative chamber that allows groups of legislators to review policies, propose bills, and report back to the chamber. Now, one central theme is that committees are created for the purpose of satisfying the need for specialization and division of labor in lawmaking. So you have some people in the House who could be doctors. Now, if a bill is headed towards health, they would make a committee, put the people who are, within the medical scene, pharmacists, etc., who are within the National Assembly, and put them together. Their review will be faster, so that when they bring it back to the House, it'll just be English, they'll be speaking simply, instead of the technicalities in which they do. So towards this end, most committees in the National Assembly are created in line with the existing mandate of ministries, departments, and agencies in government. I hope you're aware Nigeria has over 1,500 ministries, departments, and agencies, but that's a conversation for another day. Now, the functions of committees are spelled out in the Constitution, and the rules of each house also done. Now, some general functions of committees include initiation and consideration of bills, oversight of the executive, constituency representation. Now, we're going to look at the kind of committees we have, types. So there's the standing committee now, which are the permanent committees that aid the National Assembly in their day-to-day functions. Now, examples of standing committees include the Committee on Rules and Business and Committee on Appropriations. There are also special committees. Now, these special committees are permanent committees established by the rules of the House and the Senate with clear terms of reference to perform specialized functions beyond that of the standing committees. As an example of the Committee on Selection, which selects and nominates members to various standing committees. There are also ad hoc committees. Now, these ad hoc committees are committees which are created as a matter of urgency to deal with pressing or specific issues. An example of this would be the ad hoc committee on the review of the Constitution. Now, committees continued. So there are also joint committees, which are a combination of two or more similar committees from the two chambers or from one chamber. The aim of the joint committee is to examine any subject matter that falls within its jurisdiction. There is also the Committee of the Whole, and this happens when the entire membership of a chamber forms a committee that is chaired by its presiding officer to consider a bill or matter of concern. Now, conference committees. These are committees consisting of members of the Senate and the House who converge with the aim of harmonizing differences on a bill that has been passed by both houses. This happened with the Electoral Act 2026. Now, note, committees are powered by secretariats, which are headed by clerks of clerks and other committee staff. To further support their work and the work of committees, legislators often hire personal staff and legislative aides to assist them. And sometimes side chicks, cousins, brothers, etc. You know now. So roles. Now the roles of legislature is the first one is making laws pertaining to issues affecting public interest. Note that it is public interest, not personal, not residential, and public interest. The next will be representing the opinions and the interests of citizens and the nation. You see, this second function is critical because it means that you cannot be in the legislature and not have constant meetings with people you represent. But as we've seen, as a common tool. Then next will be overseeing government ministries, departments, and agencies. So nothing can be done. The oversight is usually done by the legislature. Now, the process. Now, there are various stages a bill passes through. So we're going to go through the process of the bill. So there are various stages a bill passes through to become law. Now, bills usually pass through the following stages in each house or chamber. The first will be presentation and first reading. That's when this is being brought to the house and everybody looks at whether it's a viable, sensible thing or it's not. If it's thrown out at that point, it never goes anywhere. But if it's adopted and tells, well, you know what, we need to look into it, it goes into the next step, which is known as the second reading. And the second reading is where people start to have differences. No, it's better like this, it's better like that. They debate a little bit, and then they're like, okay, you know what? Let's create a committee which is the committee stage, that would fine-tune this to the best option based on what's maybe outside and you might want to hear from depending experts on the field and etc. So the committee does that. Your committee is usually made of people that are experts in that particular field, depending on what bill it is. And then the committee comes out with something, and then you go into what is known as third reading and passage. And that's when they read the bill and then they do the ayes and the nays. Meanwhile, while we're doing ayes and the nays, in 2015, the National Assembly, both houses, Senate and House of Rep, was fitted with automations which allow, like the way in the US, you press a button, which is your vote, no yes. So you can tell which senator, which House of Rep voted what. But we're still doing ayes and nays. You want to know why? Because you guys, the electorate, me and you, don't care. First rule. Second thing we don't care about, you don't care who really votes what. It's not as long as our senator comes, attends my birthday, attends Charlie's birthday, or senator takes Elisa out for dinner. So the third reading, usually, if it passes at this point, we do the ayes and nays, and it gets the ayes, it proceeds to the office of the president, where it receives assent. The point it receives assent, it has become law. Now, constitutional amendments kind of go a little different, and we'll try to explain that here. So if 2/3 of each chamber pass the bill without amendments or differences, it is transmitted to the state houses of assembly for concurrence. If you guys remember, the Not Too Young to Run bill went through this. And remember, some states supported, some didn't support. Some went, and we're all monitoring how the state assemblies were going. Not like they knew what they were reading. But anyway, it goes to the state houses of assembly for concurrence because it has to be fully allowed by Nigerians. So if an amendment occurs at either chamber, the conference committee is being set up to harmonize differences on the bill before sending it to states for concurrence. Note that if both houses are not able to harmonize position, the bill will be returned to the respective chambers for fresh voting. At the State House of Assembly level, a single majority vote of approval of each clause by 2/3 of the state is required for each amendment to come into effect. This is 24 of Nigeria states. So I remember there was, I think Lagos didn't support the Not Too Young to Run bill. Plateau did. And what's interesting to watch, was just in different states, and a lot of things are going on. So following concurrence from states, their report on the bill is forwarded to the National Assembly for adoption. Thereafter, the clerk of the National Assembly sends a copy of the bill to the president for his assent. Now, the challenges to passing bills in Nigeria. National Assembly has often struggled with passage of bills timelessly, and some crucial bills failing to pass before the end of the life of one Senate. And once it doesn't pass, life of one National Assembly, now, if it doesn't pass at this point, what normally happens is that the next ones will have to deal with it. And we always have a bigger problem when we're dealing, when the next ones come in, they're too lax. Before, they will not want to do what the other guys did. They want to do a whole new thing. Yeah, governance is supposed to be a continuum, but in Nigeria, don't know, it's a personal dance of musical chairs. So some of the contributing factors to the large number of pending bills in the National Assembly, apart from the lack of political will to make legislation, include poor coordination and synergy between both chambers that often leaves a bill passed in one chamber and not passed in another, or concurred by the other, or concurred by, but not passed or concurred by the other chamber of, that's the other house of legislative. So we'll go to oversight now. To improve, oversight exists to improve efficiency of governance, economy, and effectiveness of governmental operations. Also helps detect and prevent poor administration, waste, and abuse. That's what it's supposed to do. So now, I'll randomly, okay, let me finish this part before I ask this question. To ensure executive compliance with law, president suspending a governor. To protect citizen rights. To ensure that executive policies reflect public interest. Then to evaluate execution and performance of the national budget. Whoa. Now, I'd like to, gone quite a little bit. I don't want everybody lost in the class. So people can raise up their hands, and I want to ask you a direct question. With what you've heard, and I don't want to talk more than a minute. With what you've heard, what do you think our national assemblies or our state house of assemblies or councillors have been functioning? Just yes or no. Are you confused? Is it surprising that there's so much to legislature? And now are you finding out that a governor cannot make a legislature? No, the governor is not supposed to go to the legislative because what makes him a good legislator? The only governor I've seen perform at legislative level is Oshimole and Saraki. They're the two. Any other set of ones, I don't know what they're doing there. So I would ask, you guys can randomly raise up your hands and we'll just hear from you guys. So like 3 people quickly.
George, you can unmute.
Okay, so I think our National Assembly and State House of Assemblies have not been functioning the way they should.
Okay, but are you finding out in this class, are you finding out that it's not a function of what they call it? It's not a function of the constitution that is bad. Are you finding out that it's the fact that they're totally not even doing what they're supposed to do?
I've always known that.
Okay. Thank you.
Promise, I've asked you to unmute.
All right. Good evening, sir. I feel they are not
Wait. Why did you say good evening, sir? I've not been knighted by the King of England. Why are you calling me, sir? I'd love to be knighted by the King of England. There's nothing to be sorry about, my brother. It was just a joke. Proceed, sir.
I feel they have not been functioning well based on what I've learned today. I've learned a lot, and then I don't really know if we, the electorate, are doing the needful if we feel they are not functioning well.
So now I'm going to ask you a question. Now, when we say citizens are politically illiterate, are you getting a semblance of what we're saying now?
Yes, honestly, I can
Yeah,
get it
because
very.
it sounded funny, and I've had this conversations with people in National Assembly. I've had the privilege of, uh, not lecturing, presenting papers, lecturing. Let me use the word, and you'll be surprised they're not much different from you. Do you know that?
Yes, sir, I get you.
Surprising. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do,
Think of Esther.
I just wanted to say women are waiting for special seats, Abby.
Wait, do we have women?
Please. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, Esther.
Okay, so for me, the session this evening has been eye-opening, even though I have always held it that the people in the legislature have been grossly underperforming, and now I just think of it that some of them don't even know the extent to which, because they just find the vibe and they go along with it, and that's what's obtainable. So we can as well just ride in big cars and do what everyone is doing and just pass time. So for me, this is an eye-opener, and I'm just thinking, whoa, okay.
So are you finding out that the problems of Nigeria do not necessarily fall only on the president? We have a totally inactive National Assembly, and they're the biggest thing in a democracy. And if they don't exist, and we keep getting the wrong people into those seats, democracy cannot work. If you have the best president in Nigeria, it will not work.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I've told you people I'm not knighted. This that you are giving me. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Esther.
Okay. Hannah. Okay.
No, go ahead, Hannah.
Okay, Hannah, you can unmute and speak.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So,
again.
Sir, can you hear me?
Say again. Yes, I can hear you, ma.
Okay, so me, this topic like this, it's been something I've been telling some of my people in school, even before I graduated from school. So the major issue we are having is the legislative arm, like the National Assembly of itself. Now, they actually do not know their role, like their own major role. They actually don't know it, because if you know how something should go, you will be able to flow with it. But how they are being done. And another thing again is that the people, like we as a whole, some of us also have a hand in it.
No, I don't like the fact that you use some.
Yes,
some will make it like it's 2 out of 10.
Some of us that are
many of
like,
us use
some
the
of
word.
us actually
Many
know
of
about
us. Many of us use
so
the
many
word.
of us actually have a
some.
problem in the sense that we are not interested in politics. When they talk about politics, we just want to, like, what is their thing? It is a dirty game. We don't want to be involved. But at the end of the day, it still rubs off on us. So that's what I have to say, sir.
Thank you very much for that. So, Talia, there's no one else, right?
No, we have hands raised.
Okay, who else? Let's take two more.
Okay, Mercy, I've asked you to unmute.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
I think for me, having worked with the legislature closely, I would say that there is poor educational requirements for these people across the board, whether at the state level or at the federal level. And, because of our politics of money, you find that the least fit, if I can put it in those terms, person is who's been elected into office. So when they get there, it's not, most of them don't even know. You meet some of them now and they don't still even know what is in their order book. Then you also have the fact that one of the reasons why they don't perform is because they're trying to preserve their return. So, there's a lot, especially if you've been seeing what has been going on with the majority party and people crying about their tickets being taken because they thought, having done some things, voting for some bills or supporting some of the movements, then that will preserve
I know you
their
are being
return.
cautious. Yeah, I would help you say what you didn't want to say because you work with them. So I'll say what you didn't, because some people jumped parties. They were thinking their tickets were automatic. You didn't want to say it, but I'll help you say
Okay,
it.
thank you very
No,
much.
I respect that you didn't say it, and I respect you for that. So I'll help you say it. Thank you. I've
Yeah.
said it.
Okay, thank you. And then another problem I also see with why they have poor functionalism is, I watch plenaries, which I mean at the Senate they say it's Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And you can watch it on YouTube. And sometimes I'm listening to some of the motions that are being brought up. These are motions that have been brought up before. So why are we repeating the same thing? In the last 3 months, we've talked about South Africa several times. Nothing has been done. So why can't we have more, like, I'm not saying more important issues, but we have other issues to talk about. So sometimes there are just all these jargons, repetitiveness, and which at the end of the day, no key issue is actually being addressed. And you have from the committee meetings, because again, there's no constitutional there's no constitutional mandate of how many times the committee can meet. There's some committees that don't sit in like an entire year. It happens all the time. And then these committees, again, created for special reasons. So how are they addressing these problems? There's also poor involvement of
like I
hearings.
said, I love the way you are bringing it out because I know you are home to this. But now I'll tell you, the committees that don't sit are the committees that are on matters that do not have financial backing. Now explain.
Oh, yes.
If it's a committee on extractive industries, they will sit every day because money is coming from that place. If it's a committee on oil, if it's a committee on CBN, if it's a committee on etc., there's money there. INEC, they are there.
Appropriations.
But when it's appropriations, those are you know how you are in the office now. You see what they do to DGs. I don't need to tell you. You know what they do to DGs. Those ones, they are because they must collect something inside that budget.
Yeah.
We know. Let's not say it publicly.
And that personally, I have a problem with the fact that even when like a bill has gone through first and second reading and it has come back to the committee and then time for public hearing, sometimes you just hear about the public hearing like a day to the public hearing. So how are you supposed to involve Nigerians that are not...
done intentionally.
Yeah,
it's done intentionally. And you know what? Nigerians never pick it up as a problem. It's done intentionally. They'll release it on Wednesday night and it's Thursday.
And
it's because they don't want you to come and spoil. They don't want you to come and spoil what they're planning.
And this is supposed to be a bill that involves the whole of Nigeria. So you're not going to use AI tools to include people. You're not going to digitize it. The most of digitization you do is probably just airing it live. How can people even give their feedback from wherever they're watching live? All of this does not exist. And I like that at the beginning of this class, you actually talked about how constitutional projects are unconstitutional. Yes, because every time I find myself having that conversation with people that your senators, your House of Rep members, they're not the ones to buy you transformer. Do you understand? That's not their job. They're not the ones to do boreholes for you. They're not the ones to do your roads for you. That's why you have an entire arm of government. So among the three arms, to be honest, I feel like the legislative is the one that is somewhat the strongest, but yet somewhat the weakest that we have.
Weakest? The president is not the strongest in Nigeria. The legislative is. But here's the conversation. When you have somebody that has power and the people do not know their power or how to use it, there's a problem. The thing is that Nigeria, or in Africa, let me not say it's a Nigerian problem, it's an African problem. And I love this conversation. It's an African problem. In Africa, we look for a strong man. Maybe because we've been ruled by kings and bales and obis and whatever. We look for one. So we want, the National Assembly cannot seize power collectively. They look for individual power. Wants to be Senate president, wants to be chairman of this committee. Natasha will vex if they remove her as committee chairman on this. Senator, what's his name? Oshimole will vex if he's taking off one committee. We are looking for individual power. their collective responsibility. The power of the legislature lies in the collective, not unitary. And they don't get it. And it's hard for them to get it. So we have a serious problem. The people that you're supposed to demand a high intellect, not necessarily school, but for me, a high intellect from are the legislature. You need a particular level of intellect to be in the legislature. All these people that will just wake up and I want to run for House of Rep. Why are you running for House of Rep? I remember talking to a girl. She called me a male chauvinist because I asked her a simple question. Like everybody like meet Kunle Lawal, and I said, "Why are you running for? I want to help my people." Okay, everybody says that. Why are you running? I said, "Okay, what laws do you want to change? Why? What do you want?" Couldn't mention one. I've spoken to another who has quite a massive following, has won her ticket in ADC. I don't want to mention the state. Has won her ticket in the ADC. And she was telling me that the bills, I have them in my head. Okay, well, give me one. Zero. Just saying we'll change this, we'll change that. I have friends on Facebook that are running for National Assembly. I've not supported them. And the reason is because they haven't given me a reason to support them. You sit down and all you talk about is how you're going to give the people roads, give the people lights, give the people. And I'll tell you guys a story, something that happened to me when I was campaigning in 2019. There's this place in Abuja known as Hulumi. Hulumi is very close to the Idu train station. Hulumi has not had lights for the last 4 years. No, then it was last 4 years. So if this is 2018 and it was 4 years, you need to add another 6 years to it. So that's 10 years about. And I sat down with the district head of Hulumi, and he had his son schooling abroad. And just remember that part, but his son wasn't around, so remember that part. And then he asked me over, and he said, "Promise my people light, Kunle, I'll give you all the votes here." And I said, "I can't do that." And I said, "It's not in my jurisdiction. What I can do is make better laws that renewable energy and whatever can be used as a balance to hydro generation, which is what we use." And you know what? He drove me out of his palace. My campaign team were furious. Okay, this is politics. You can just lie. You can just this. You can just that. I didn't talk to him. I was quiet. I left the village. He drove me out. Told me to leave and never come back. A month later, his son comes back from school, schooling abroad, and was telling him about the candidates that have come. And his son was saying, that, young people are running for office now, they're doing so well, etc., etc., etc. And then father now says, one stupid young boy. Which kind of young boy? Young boy that came here and could not say he will give us lights. Like everybody else said they will give us lights. That's what the guy say. That he can make laws that would help that would start using renewable energy across hydro generation. His son looked at him. He said, "Dad, of all the people that came here, I was the only person that told you the truth and the only person that knows what he's doing." So I was invited back to Hulumi, and I came with my team, and he apologized. And I'll be honest, I got the highest votes in Hulumi. So this is a story that shows what Nigeria is. You can't even tell them the truth. I was chased out of that town. But not chased with sticks, but, get out of my kingdom. And I had to do it. Anyway, challenges to passing bills. So the National Assembly has often struggled with passage of bills timelessly, with crucial bills failing to pass at the end of whatever. So some of the consider narrow content of bills. Now, if you've looked at the bills in the National Assembly, I'll use the PIB bill. 96 pages of repetition and rubbish. If you can't sleep today night, Google the PIB bill, take it and read it. I assure you fall asleep by page 9. So it's a narrow content for bills. Hardly brain power. If you look at bills, Senator McCain, one of the most distinguished legislators in the world, late Senator McCain in the US, passed about 1,432, I think, 1,200 and something bills. And none of his bills, except a bill on defense, was one page. And so while I was running for office, I took him as like, person I was going to follow and learn to write bills like. And I'll tell you some bills that have been successful. So one of the bills I was pushing forward, I started pushing forward privately. And it was the NERC Act. And in the NERC Act, then it said if you generated more than 1 megawatt of electricity, you must pass it back to the national grid for it to be distributed. I mean, if you can be generating enough electricity for yourself, but once it reaches 1 megawatt, even if your community still needs more, you have to pass it to the national grid. National grid distributes all over Nigeria. That's slavery. So what we did was just add 2 zeros. 1,800 megawatts. That singular law is the reason why Abia State has light. It's the reason I thought Lagos would jump on it, but Lagos is, for lack of a better word, Lagos. Edo has almost completed its power plant, and subsequent Ogun is working on one. These states will begin to generate their own electricity just because 2 zeros were added. So changing a bill or changing a law, it's not necessarily writing 900 pages. Nah, it's not. Laws could be as simple as, let me use bills that I used while I was running for office. Laws could be as simple as, okay, I remember I met with some, let me use this one, it's more relatable. I met with women, and they were asking me, what exactly do you want to do? There are laws on this, but they're not implemented. And I said, okay, working women are stressed. And I said, I was looking at something to reduce the stress on women. And I said, I've noticed and I've taken into cognizance that when women return from maternity leave, their work output is low because their babies are far off, especially when, banks that have short maternity leave times. So their babies are far off. So their output's normally not good, and they're always trying to leave the office to go and check on the baby or something at the daycare and etc. I said, solve this. You should just mandate that every private and public establishment must have a care room with 3 registered nurses, who take care of these babies. So if you know your baby is just down the hall in the back, you work effectively. Does that look complicated? That bill is less than 3 lines. Not complicated, is it? But no, you guys now, thank you, Nigerians, you have to write 300 pages of absolute nonsense. Most of the time, those bills, like those laws you're trying to make, are already conflicting with existing laws. It doesn't always have to be that way. That's how simple a bill should be. Bills are not supposed to be complicated. They're never supposed to be. Never, ever. Like people have always been talking about building more houses. I don't think so. In the capital city, in Abuja, there are more houses than people. So how do you solve the gap? Legislatively. Everything is not executive might, power, heat, blast, carry police. It's not always that. And looking at housing, how would you solve it? Rent standardization. If this is a house in Maitama, whether it has a swimming pool, as long as it's 2-bedroom and it's in Maitama, this is the rent. If you like, if this one is here, this is the rent. If this is here. Do you know how many houses are empty in Maitama? Do you know how many are empty in Ikoyi? Do you know? So we don't think. Instead, we're looking for how to get low-cost housing and start building more. I don't want to talk about it. So poor drafting, which is what I've been talking about since. Policy duplicity, which I mentioned, we're always trying to create laws that counteract other existing laws that, oh my God. Then inadequate or delayed legislative scrutiny. So I maybe would come from NMPP and I'm in the House. And I passed quite a good law. The APC said, no, I was supposed to pass this law. We're not going to even vote him because of this guy. Nonsense. Nobody does that in the world. If a bill is good, whether you're from another party or not, their pride is that this house passed it. But in Nigeria, you go down to this party, even down to this region, down to whatever, you look for one division or the other. So inadequate or delayed legislative scrutiny. Chalia, What is representation? This is for you. What exactly representation? First point of call. Ensuring your needs are in the house, which is sponsoring bills on the floor of the house. There are people that have been there 16 years. I'll give you an example. When the present first lady, I'm not partisan, please. I'm not for anybody or against anybody. So over the course of this time in the electoral college, you hear me maybe yab Peter Obi, you hear me yab Remi Tinubu, you hear me yab Kwankwaso, you hear me yab Syria Rona Atiku, you hear me yab almost everybody. We are non-partisan. I don't care. I just want good governance. So Remi, first lady, boasted about her legislative prowess, and I decided to look into her. And he co-sponsored 3 bills and 1 bill of hers. That's 4. She was in four bills. Does anybody know how long she was in the Senate? Does anybody know how long? Am I the only one in this class? I was asking, does anybody know how long she was in the Senate? 16. Beautiful. So now, do you know what's shocking with 16? You know what's shocking with 16? No, wait, I think it's 12. Wait. 16 or 12. Wait. She joined. Wait, it's 12. It's not 16. It's 12. 12. Let's Google it. It's 12 years. So over those 12 years, do you know how much she cost Nigeria? 12 years. Do you know how much she cost Nigeria? You guys should guess how much she cost Nigeria. I did a small overview on it, just to show people. So constituency projects which she handled were 1 billion each year, which is 12 billion. Her salary is 36 million. You can do the math here. Somebody with a calculator. Who was the person that did the last calculation with me in class? I think it was Esther. Talia, can you unmute Esther? Why does it seem like I'm talking to myself? Can you unmute Esther? Is she in class?
I've asked you to unmute.
Esther, are you there?
Muted.
I've unmuted.
Okay, Esther, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Are you ready to do another calculation with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we're about to show the class how much Remi Tinubu costs Nigeria. So
Okay.
every 1 billion for Lagos State, for her jurisdiction in Lagos State for constituency projects every year. She spent 12 years. That's 12 billion. Keep the 12 billion aside.
Okay.
She was there for 12 years. So there are 12 months in a year, right?
Yes.
So 12 times 12 is 144, right?
Yes,
Multiply 144 by 36 million monthly allowance.
144. That's that. You said 36, right?
36 million, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody go to my Facebook and go and pull the conversation.
That's wild.
5.18 billion.
Yes.
Okay, add 5.18 billion to 12 billion.
Plus 12. There are 9 zeros in 12 billion, Ravi. Okay.
No, just do 12 plus 7.1. Then we'll just add billion to it. That's 19.1 billion.
Yes.
So Remi Tinubu cost us 19.1 billion, right? 19.1 billion. Okay, 17.184. Somebody's showing another calculation. How? You said 12 plus. Okay, 17. Yeah, it's 17. Sorry,
Yes.
12 plus 5. Yeah, 5.1. Yeah. Okay, so she cost us 17.18 billion. one senator. 17.118 billion. Here's the
Oh.
magic. What did you get for it? 4 bills. Sorry, 3. 1 bill, sorry. Because the other 3 were co-sponsored. 1 billion. And that 6 billion is just... Is everybody surprised today? What are you surprised about? Esther, are you there? Okay, wait, this class is getting interesting. Charlie, allow anybody that raises up their hand. Let me hear
Yes,
from
I'm
2
here.
people.
I'm here.
Okay. Are you surprised? Are you surprised?
It's wild. Oh God. Hey, God, I beg.
So when we're talking about what goes on, do you understand? I'm gonna tell you what goes on. Do you see? That's one person. I'm gonna tell you what goes on in this thing. Their salaries are not much. Their salaries are 500,000 a
Wow.
month. It's the allowances that are the problem. 36 million, making it 36 million. So Charlie, allow 1 or 2 people on mute and make comments on what they just heard.
Okay, Abraham, I've asked you to unmute. Abraham, are you there?
Yes, can
If
you
the
hear me?
person is not ready to talk, we can move
Okay.
to someone else.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Yes,
Good
we can
evening.
hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
so shocked about this amount. And they keep complaining we don't have money, and they keep borrowing money every time. And a single senator spent this amount of money in 12 years. That's ridiculous. Something has to be done about this, sincerely speaking. That's ridiculous.
So now you're seeing the problem.
Oh, wow.
Now, when Nigeria tells you that 65% of his budget is salaries, you're wondering whose salaries they're paying.
Exactly. Wow.
Now you know whose salaries they're paying. Remember, key and earlier I mentioned, the National Assembly is in control of his allowances. Who allows that? So this is very interesting. Anybody else wants to make a comment?
Eneche, Job, you can unmute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. We don't have much time, so can we get it going quickly?
All right. Thank you for this eye opener in the first place, because this shocked me. It really, really shocked me this evening. And I must ask you this question. If this is happening in our government system today, sir, with all sincerity, how can we minimize all these unnecessary costs on Nigeria? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'll tell you. No, stay on the call. Stay on, don't mute. I'll tell you what I did when I was running for office. And you can Google it. Because I wrote a letter to Abuja. A Valentine letter to Abuja, if I remember, while I was running for Senate. But like I said, I didn't lose an election. Abuja lost the senator. I said that I cannot go to the floor of the House and tell them to reduce their allowances. What I'll do is give back 80% of my allowances to the 6 districts of districts of Abuja. And that money will sit down in a town hall and decide. So this month, one district to get it. What you want to do, what project you want to work on, and do that. For me, that would have solved a lot of things. So that's how. If you really want the truth, you need to elect the right people into the National Assembly. Therein lies your problem. Therein is your problem. Do you understand? There is your problem. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not good. These days, I've started liking G-class. Started liking some kind of things. Don't know. Maybe it's middle-age crisis. I'm just joking. But you need the right people in this place. And like I said, you can Google it. I'm not telling you because it's a class. I'm telling you what I did. It's not, you can Google it. I remember I was being challenged by a lot of people, even my own supporters, my own friends were saying, why do you want to give money back? Why? And I said, no, it's the right thing to do. My family does not even live on 20% of that money. I'm keeping 20%. It's not too much. Too much now. And I also tell you, during campaigns, as at senatorial level, I'm entitled to 2 policemen. I didn't work with anybody. And people will tell you, I stroll from a campaign office to H-Medics. H-Medics was just across. At the time I was campaigning, my son was like 1 year old. So, then, kids, this one, that one, this one. He was a preemie baby, so he had a little, a few issues, though he's grown out of that. He's at my chest now at 9. But I used to stroll to H-Medics and people will see my posters and they'll be like, guy, you're running for Senate. Nobody's with you. Yeah, must somebody be with me? And who is asking AI to stop? That's how we monitor your meeting, your attendance. Nobody should do that. So back to what we're saying. I know a lot of people are shocked in this class over what I just brought out. And I put it out even on Facebook. If I remember, the post went quite viral. Had like 30-something shares or 40-something shares because people were shocked, and I saw it in quite a lot of places. It even came to meet me on WhatsApp groups that I'm on. People were sharing it because nobody could believe. And that's how little we know about our governance systems in Nigeria. So setting up a constituency office to facilitate public access. Now, most of them build the constituency office, but they're never there. Regular physical visits to constituencies. Meeting with interest groups to stay engaged on various issues. Presenting petitions in the National Assembly on behalf of constituents. Seeking public consultations input on a bill, soliciting the opinions of constituents on certain legislative and policy issues, keeping in touch with community leaders, then creating awareness and disseminating relevant information to constituents. Now, they also must actively participate in the budget process and ensure there is room for projects for constituents to participate also, and pick and monitor local projects. That's oversight. Then actively engage the media and civil society groups. Like if I was in the legislature, I would have a program on a local. Let's say I'm a legislator in right now. I'm in Yola, so I'm in Yola as we speak. So we can right now. If I was a senator in Yola, I'll go on Adamawa TV. My constituents, I'll go on radio too, or maybe Tuesday TV, Thursday radio, and I'll say, you guys, let's talk. This is that 2 hours, engage each other. I'm done. I'd rather use constituency projects money for that, so I get to hear what people. I don't need to gather people in a hall and start bringing woke food. I can even use it on my Facebook page. Okay, today on my Facebook page, I will answer everybody that is my constituent. What are the problems? Or this is what I'm thinking. I'll write it on it. What do you think of this bill? They'll give their things. I'll argue for or against and etc. It's what you have to do. But no, you guys will be calling them honorable, distinguished, honorable, distinguished, honorable. That's what people do. Even to see how you people act, and now this stray bullet coming to the 20th court, to see how you guys act with your new transitional chairman. You guys are now big boys now. He'll even come, transitional chairman will be right there telling ED to show reason why he gave them a particular set of points. Why do you think, and I'm going to address this now, why do you think we told you to submit your assignments publicly? If I told you to send an email to me, it means you will not see what the others scored. So when you see the scores, you will ask why, because you haven't seen it. Common sense dictates. I'm not saying common sense common, but common sense dictates that when you see me give somebody 7 and 8, open their own and say, what did they do that I did not do? And is this, I don't know, entitlement attached to titles? You notice I have no title in front of my name. You guys don't know whether I have a PhD. You don't know whether I have masters. You don't even know if I have first degree. You just see Kunle Lawal. There's nothing there. Nothing. Heard it. We are obsessed with titles. We're obsessed with a lot of things in this country. We're obsessed. We're more obsessed with a title than actually doing the job. I will tell you, I'm ready to offer ED of Electoral College to anybody here. Please be on. I'm ready to give it to any one of you. And sit down in this seat and do what I do in 24 hours. I'm ready to. It's open. Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I am, Edie.
Lisa, do you want my job? I'm not arguing. I can give you ED today. Now, do you want my job? Lisa is quiet.
Not at all, Edie.
You say not at all. So it takes quite a lot. But, most people are obsessed with titles in Nigeria. I just said that playfully. Lisa, any coup planned by you will be met by my forces. Back to what I was saying. So we move on to recall. Now, a lot of us talk about recall and we say it's not possible. It actually is. The few times we've attempted it, the first attempt I had on recall, and I helped spearhead and guide that, was in Lagos. Now, took approximately 18,000 people to vote in this particular woman who wanted to recall. So we needed 9,000 votes. When they started getting the signatures, thought it was a joke. When we reached 6,000, started coming to constituency offices, started discussing with people. She would come where we were playing music and giving people gist why this should happen. We made like a party. She came to beg. We would have recalled her. We would have been successful. Our attempts at recall are normally large. Easier to recall State House of Assembly. They are jokes. Very easy. Someone like Desmond Elliott, anyway, doesn't need a recall now. Uncle Femi has done him strong thing. It would have been easy to recall him. I think Surulere gave him 21K votes. It's easy to recall. So note that constituents feel they are poorly represented or have lost confidence in the abilities of the legislators. They may recall them. Now, a recall is a procedure in where voters can remove an elected member of an area council, State House of Assembly, or National Assembly from office. Now, Section 69 and 110 of the Constitution empowers more than one half of registered voters in the affected constituency to sign a petition and present it to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, stating their grievances. Now, when they say one half, do not think it's one half of the entire people. No. One half. So if the total votes that brought in Kunle Lawal were 60,000, it means that you need 30,000. I say entire votes, not entire votes of my own alone. Sorry, in case you got that from what I said. The entire votes, meaning who voted for APC or PDP or NNPP or even this person's one is added. So when you get that, add all that, that's people that participated in that particular election. 60,000. 30,000 signatures are required to remove him. Now, it mustn't be the 30,000 that voted. They just have to have PVCs, but 30,000 shall that have. Now, following this, INEC will be required to so INEC will be, 30,001. That's what we'll bring. I need more than half. So just anything more than half. So following this, INEC will be required to conduct a referendum in that constituency within 90 days to decide the legislator's fate. So you have to have more than 30,001 signatures again for that referendum. However, INEC must adhere to the following administrative checks. Ensure that the petition to the recall is presented, is signed, and arranged according to polling units, wards, LGs, and constituency. Cross-check the signatories with those that appear on the voters' register. So we'll continue here. So next, INEC will notify the member sought to be recalled, stating the receipt of the petition for his or her recall. Issue a public statement or notice stating the date, time, and location of verification. Verify the signatories to the petition at the designated location, where more than half, 50% plus one, of the signatories are verified. The commission goes ahead to conduct a referendum. A referendum is a referendum in the recall is a direct vote that determines a question for the purpose of removing an elected member of an area council, state, or national assembly. If the number verified is less than one half of the registered voters in that constituency, the commission shall write to the petitioners stating that the petition did not meet the minimum requirements, is therefore dismissed. Case of Natasha and Dino Melaye. It is noteworthy that the recall process is inapplicable to the governor of the state or the president of Nigeria. They can only be impeached by 2/3 of the majority of the members of the House of Assembly or National Assembly, meaning they need 2/3 in the Senate and in the House of Reps. Now, resolutions. Now, resolutions are prayers of a motion agreed to by a legislative house. Now, there are three types of legislations: the simple, the concurrent, and the joint resolutions. Now, simple resolutions are usually used to express sentiments of a house or to compel a committee to carry out an investigation. Concurrent resolutions are resolutions passed by both houses but do not require the agreement of the president. And you see how powerful the legislature is? Now, joint resolutions are generally passed by both houses to give effect to constitutional provisions. Now, in conclusion, this was said by me. I like myself very much. It is through the law alone men get justice and liberty. As we crucify the legislative without holding them accountable, we have kissed away our freedoms. Thank you, everyone, and it was a great time holding the legislative with you guys. Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Edie, for this insightful class. It was an eye-opener. We learned a lot. Thank you so much. So right about now, we'll go into questions and answers. So if you have any question, please
You can take down
raise
the
your...
presentation.
Okay, so we have Tunde. I've asked you to unmute and ask your question. Okay, you're not unmuted in case you're speaking. Okay, I'll move to Ponwa. You can unmute and ask your question. Okay, since it's not there, Abraham, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening once again, Eddie. My question is that, like, just the recall you mentioned earlier. So I want to know, is it that
I didn't
Village
mention the call. The Constitution mentioned the recall.
Okay, the
It's directly
Constitution.
as it is from the Constitution. It's not me. It's not Kundilawa.
All right, sir. So the Constitution said we can recall. So me as a citizen, is it that I would just walk to an INEC office and tell them I want to recall a particular person, or
But I
is it?
showed you the process. I walked you through the process. How can you say what you're saying right now?
I think I was a little bit distracted earlier.
And you have your notes. Go and read it. It's written there.
All right, sir.
Okay, Olatunji, I've asked you to unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Edie. Yeah, the class was very rich as usual again today. Yeah, my question is, I will just make it two. The first one is override. I know of some country where the legislature has the power to override the veto of the president, as the case may be. I don't know if that is applicable
Yes,
in
well,
Nigeria, because I don't think I've ever heard.
Oversight is there.
Override. No, I mean override.
No.
Override. That's it. To override the veto.
I understand. It's not override the veto. It's to veto the president.
Yeah.
The veto is the override. Now, the Nigerian Senate has the same power.
Okay. So, but because I don't think we have ever in the state.
Remember that what we've done in this class is show you what is supposed to be.
Yes,
if they are refusing to do it, that is another conversation. Sitting down in Jalingo, that's another conversation. We've argued that they don't even know the powers they have. They don't even understand it. I've argued that multiply. So that's the position. They have the power. There is no legislature. If a legislature does not have veto over the president, then it's not a legislature. Even state house of assemblies have veto over the governor. And we have the same clause that in a situation where a governor is vetoed 3 times and a National Assembly has vetoed the president 3 times, it's grounds for impeachment. I hope you're aware. Because it means that you have done three things that the people of Nigeria or the people of whatever country do not agree with. So if they veto you 3 times, it's grounds to start an impeachment process.
Okay, thank you, Edie. I believe his question was answered. So ask Winner to unmute and ask your question. Okay, Winner is not speaking. Tunde, your hands are still up. I've asked you to unmute.
Yeah, so thank you for this. So my own kind of observation is, at first instance, since I work in the UK and I work in civil service, we write bills, and I think what we do is civil servants write the bills. So I can't understand if a bill in Nigeria is written badly, who writes those bills? And if they're written, does that mean the civil servants in Nigeria are not capable of writing proper bills? Because it has to go through, I think, for instance, say we look at it, then maybe a special advisor looks at it and stuff like that. So why isn't that happening? And also in relation to the legislature, I'm thinking a lot of challenges and outcomes we have are the fact that I think problems like its effectiveness can be debated. It's often maybe not transparent, maybe it needs greater independence, and a massive rigorous oversight. So those are my own and then another thing in relation to the pay. I know, for example, MPs say what happens is they've got a committee, is it a board that regulates their pay and looks at their pay, and I actually I was a pretend member of parliament, so I saw the whole process from beginning to the end. Why can't we replicate that in Nigeria? Thank you.
I got signed out, so I just came back in. I didn't even hear, so I'm sorry.
I'll quickly say this. At first instance, I know that civil servants over here, we write the bills. So if the bill is not right well, then there's a big problem. Can't that be replicated in Nigeria? I don't know who writes the bills in Nigeria for them. Number 2, I think in relation to salaries, I know that over here the MPs have like a special committee or something like that, whereby they regulate their salaries and say, okay, I think there was a time they wanted to increase salaries and said, no, you can't increase it. Another thing I was also saying in relation to our, the legislature, my thoughts are that at first instance, we need to really look at how effective it is. I mean, that means basically transparency. I think there's a lot of rigorous oversight, and also how independent it is. So those are my own thoughts, and those are my own, what do you call it? And one thing I was saying, I was a pretend member of parliament. I saw the way it worked from the beginning to the end here, but I don't understand why we can't replicate that in Nigeria. It's transparent. They let the public see. You can come in and watch proceedings. You can see select committees, and individuals can actually raise, I think in America, bills. And then I'm confused as to whether we have a presidential American type of government or a British type of government. So yeah, that's my own kind of, I wouldn't say rant, but yeah.
Okay. First, we have an American-style presidential system of government first. Secondly, if they allow you into any plenary and anybody into any plenary and any conversation, how will they steal money? The question. You heard when I was talking to her, I was saying when DGs come, Every DG of every parastatal comes to defend their budget in the National Assembly. Anybody in the working National Assembly will tell you, if the DG does not drop, nothing. They will throw out your budget. They will make a ridicule. They can even accuse every DG you've seen, almost every DG you've seen them accused during budget processing is somebody that did not want to drop what they were asking for. So if they allow you inside, how is that going to work? Now, thirdly, legislators all over the world control their salaries. In Sweden, they put their own salary at minimum wage. And their argument was this, that as long as they earn minimum wage, the kind of people that will come to the parliament, because they use a parliamentary system, are only people that want to work. So if you now put the National Assembly on minimum wage, if we agree to do that, the only people that will be running for that office are people that want to work. Or have other things doing, because you can't survive on minimum wage. So it's a kind of check. So every country or every democracy or every constitution trusts the legislature to represent the people and make the best decisions. But when the legislature chooses to represent itself, then you have a problem, which is Nigeria. You can see how outrageously I marked Remi Tinubu. A lot of people screamed about it. I marked her, how much she earned. How much she earned within a 12-year period. Costing us 17 billion for one bill. Sorry, that's outrageous. I had opined clearly that a legislator in Nigeria can hire an American senator as his aide or an MP in the UK comfortably. And it's not that he'll be losing money. Pay him exactly what he's earning as an MP, pay him exactly what he's earning as in Congress in the US or in the Senate in the US, and employ him comfortably. You can even employ him as driver. There was a joke by a US senator, and the joke was, am I still audible?
Yes,
Talia?
you are. Yes, it is.
Okay. There was a joke in the US Senate, I think some years back. And they said, it's the senator, they were talking about Nigeria and its high price of governance. And the joke was, the senator made a joke and said, I'd rather be a driver. So he was mocking something. They were not talking about Nigeria. They were talking about their earnings or something. And he said, I'd rather be a driver to a Nigerian, to a Nigerian senator. Sounded like a joke, but it's true. They can, and I said, as long as they pay him the salaries earning in the US, which they can comfortably pay. So we have a quite quagmire with these things. But like I said, we're comfortable with it being like that. Because if we weren't comfortable, we'd either get incompetent people that will change it or get people that will necessarily work around that. And we haven't done that.
Okay, thank you, Edie. Winner, can you unmute now and speak?
Okay, thank you so very much. I learned a lot from this topic today, and of course, the legislature is an arm of government that I really love so much, because I had served as a speaker in my institution, at the student union level. So I like it so much. So it was a session I did not want to miss for anything. Thank you so much, sir, for the eye-opening session. One of the things I really got is the recall, the last part. I learned about it, but I did not get clarity how it was given in the course of this teaching. Here's what I just want to ask now, because the session was more focused on National Assembly, House of Reps. I want us to, how can we also bring in the House of Assemblies and councillors?
Wait. You need to understand this. I thought only because, I thought at that legislative level, because it is actually the same thing down the line. You just reduce the scope, reduce reduce the scope, meaning country. Then in places of where I use president, change it to governor or local government chairman. It's the same thing. It's the same thing from top to bottom. Let's use our former president's language. Top to bottom, same thing.
Okay, because we can even pardon it at the national level, but at the state level, I don't think councillors, even sometimes this Tuesdays and Thursday we are talking about. I think
But
that's
I think in the beginning I said something. I said 99.9% of councillors have not opened the Nigerian constitution. I was clear. I said it.
I mean, that's one of the issues we are having, that we are having people bring in their brother something to just present, and we go on and on. And I come to see that also maybe some of the presiding officers, like the speakers, don't even know the function and the duties of the legislature. So their legislative administration doesn't even do anything to contribute. And the one party system we are about to have in the country is that the executive is even checkmating the legislature. In by sense that I heard of something some time ago that
Who said, wait, let me dispel something. Who said you have a one-party system?
No, it's not. We don't have, but we are slowly going into it.
We are not going. We are not going there because one party is in power. Oh, should I remind you of when PDP was in power? Should I remind you? Nobody said one party then. Should I remind you? There are more states in opposition right now to the APC than there were states in opposition to the PDP at its power and at its prime. And nobody called it a one-party state.
Okay, I said
we have 20 political parties.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, you do.
So this conversation, I think I need to clarify. Nigeria is not a one-party state. If I remember, we have more than 3 parties in power, 4 parties in power as governors. We have the PDP, we have the Labour, we have the NNPP. No, NNPP, I think, has moved to APC. Has it moved to APC or is still in NNPP? Anyway, we have 3 parties in this thing. In the House, we have 8 political parties, which are the highest we've ever had in a democracy. So when I blame the media, and I attack a lot of my friends who are in the media when they state this thing, and I always correct it. Nigeria is not heading towards a one-party state. Yes, APC is dominating. PDP did the same thing. Anybody that has incumbently stayed in power for more than 8 years becomes a dragon in Africa. But it's never a one-party state. It's not even heading towards it.
Okay, then. Okay, merci, Kwabi. I've asked you to unmute and ask your question.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mercy, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you for today's class. I do have a question for you as somebody who ran for Central State. So frequently, one of the most constant issue that is brought up in the House of Reps is having a House of Assembly, so to say, for the FCT. And as somebody who has stayed in the FCT too for a very long time, sometimes I can see where that need comes from. But I wanted your personal opinion as to, do you think this is, I mean, we know how the FCT functions. They have the lowest senatorial representation because they just have 1 seat. And then you have these 6 big area councils that are also as big as the area councils you find in other states. So is this something that you think should be given more attention to, or is it unconstitutional? Yes, that's the question.
Okay, so the only time the FCT can have a State House of Assembly, the moment you create a State House of Assembly for the FCT, you're going to have to create the office of a mayor. Because you can't just have a legislative. The president can't continue to oversee. Because the legislative can take a decision. Okay, then indirectly, let me explain it. Let me use this analogy. If you create a State House of Assembly for the FCT and they can impeach the president, so you have a lacuna in the constitution. So you need to create the office of the mayor at the same time, which I agree. I don't like the minister of Abuja. It doesn't mean anything. It reminds me of military rule. We should be able to pick someone who's a mayor for Abuja and handle things for Abuja entirely. You know, you function like a governor, but not a governor. So you can't create a State House of Assembly for the FCT without creating a mayor for Abuja. It will make no logical sense. It will trample on quite a lot of parts of the Constitution. So to complete it, you need to grant.
So you think it's a better option?
I don't think.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I don't think. I know it's a better option. than having the National Assembly control Abuja and the president oversee Abuja. No.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Edie, for answering all our questions and this insightful class. We really learned so much. We learned a lot. It was an eye-opener, just as the comments I can see here. So thank you so much, Edie.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure having you.
All right, so classes continues tomorrow by 5 p.m. So please don't miss out on tomorrow's class. Thank you. Did we have any announcements?
That was a very interactive and interesting class as always. For the students, please, when you're renaming your names on Zoom, also include your registration number, the one that was given to you on the party list. Please always include your registration number when you're writing your name on Zoom, not in the chat box. When you rename your Zoom name, always include your registration number. That'll be all. Thank you, everyone.